Good afternoon, everyone. I am Professor Amit going
तू स्टॉप कर
to
येतोय आवाज
starting the subject.
तू जॉइन झाली का पोरग जॉइन आहेत ना ओके थांब जर मला टेस्ट द्यायचा का जर होत असेल
As this is choice-based system, we have a choice to select our subject. We can choose a group subject. In second group, we can choose from this three
ओके ना
compulsory subject. Then,
काय करायचं ते मी ह्याच्यात नाही करणार रेकॉर्डिंग
as we know that we have a 75-25 marks pattern. Here 75 marks for theory and 25 marks for the internal and 50 marks for practical. So each subject have 50 marks practical. So in first group there are two subjects, so 100 marks for practical. Same for this elective too. And for game programming 50 marks for the practical, and for the project 50 marks for the project. Okay, let's go through web services. So this is our syllabus, first unit. In that we are going to cover introduction about web services, its different types. Then we overview of XML, as the XML is the key concepts in web services. We overview that. Then next one is the SOAP protocol. Then building web services with JX, WS. Then how to register and discover the web service. Next one is the web service life cycle, and last one is the how to consume the web service in different platform. This we are going to see in first unit. In second unit for the RESTful web services. So basically there are two types of web services. First one is the SOAP and second one is the REST. So REST is generally used for the complex web services. In that we are going to see introduction about HTTP, the protocol used to send and receive the data, the core architecture elements of RESTful services, then Java tools and frameworks building for the RESTful web services, JSON, the different message format than XML, then how to build RESTful web services with JAX, RS, the description and discovery of RESTful web services. In first unit, we are discovering the simple web services using SOAP. In second unit, we discover the web services using RESTful web services. Next one is the design guidelines for building RESTful web services, and last one is how to secure the web services using RESTful web services. So this we cover in a and in last unit, developing the service oriented application with WCF. WCF stands for Windows Communication Foundation. This is one of the layer in ASP.NET structure. So this is used for the communication. So its basic concepts, then its architecture, client profile, and its programming that we are going to discuss in unit number 3. So to study this, reference books are available in PDF format. So these two books are available with me. First one is the Web Services Principle and Technology by Michael, and second one is the RESTful Java Web Services. This is actually not so useful for our syllabus, but for practical purpose we use this, and some additional references are there. So these are some practicals that we are going to perform. In first practical, we going to convert the temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius and Celsius to Fahrenheit using web services. In second practical, we perform the one-way operation and two-way or both-way operations for the request and response simultaneously. In third practical, we are going to see the UDDI registry entry. UDDI stands for Universal Description Discovery Integration. It used to define the registry services. Next one is the fourth one, develop client, which consumes web services developed in a different platform. So we create the web services that is applicable for the different platform. For example, if the client application is in ASP.NET and if server application in Java, they can communicate with each other using web services. That we are going to see in a fourth practical. Write a JAX WS web service to perform the following operation. That is define a servlet JSP that consumes the web service. It means we create the web service and access the data from JSP pages. Next one is the define web service method returns contents of database in JSON string. The content should be displayed in a tabular format. So there are different type of data that we use in web services. For example, we can generate the data in XML format and JSON format. JSON is the new one that use key and value pair. So we access that data and put it on our web pages in tabular format. So we access the database, we read the table, access that data, and we write on our web pages using web services. Next one is the define a RESTful web services that accepts the details to be stored in a database perform CRUD operation. CRUD or CRUD. It stands for create, read, update, and delete. So these operations we perform on database using RESTful web services. Next, uh, typical and typical client using. So this is on all on WCF. So first we create the web service using WCF. In second, that is in ninth practical, use WCF to create a basic ASP.NET for Ajax application. And in last, demonstrate using binding attribute of an endpoint elements in WCF. So these are the 10 practicals. All are important for us. We will cover all the practicals in our practical session. So next one. So let's start the topic web services. First one is the introduction. So simply we can say that a web service is the service that available over the network or the internet. So here web service is the service that we can access using internet. So generally there is a client and server. Client is the requester and server is the responser. So whatever the service we request is provided by the server, and to communicate with client and server we use web services. So in a simple term definition is web service is a self-describing self-contained software module available via a network such as internet, which complete the task and conducts the transactions on behalf of user or application. So here we use a software who serve a service for us. To clear the idea of web service, let's see a simple example. Suppose you visit a hotel, and if you want to place an order, the waiter comes to you, and you give your order to waiter. So waiter get that order and pass to the chef or the cook. Then cook ready your order, and when it is ready, then it calls to waiter. Waiter serves you your order. So here waiter is nothing but the web service. You are the client and chef is nothing but the server or the service provider. So you can say that you can directly communicate with the chef. So you can go to the kitchen and ask chef to make this order. But consider the situation, if you are if you are knowing English language and the chef only know Tamil language. So it's difficult to communicate with each other. Here the role of web service, it accept the request from the you and pass it to the web services. So pass it to the chef and get the order from the chef and put it to you or serve to you. Uh, and maybe there are different cook are available there. For Chinese there is a special one, for non-veg it's a special one. So it's a waiter responsibility to access a particular chef. So here you, and this is the chef, and for communication we use waiter. So this is the role of web services. In simple term, it's a client who requests service from the server and server responds the service. Next one. Let's see the real world example. We redirect to the browser. Okay, here we suppose that I want to book a air ticket. I, so here I book the book flight. So here book flight. Okay, make my trip. So here I want to book a ticket. Here I enter my source place, for example Pune, and here I choose Mumbai. Here I select the date and I want to one direction. And here I click on a search flight. So here I get the data that a number of flights are available from the different line. For example, this is maybe from Air India, this is from Indigo, maybe this is from different services that are available here, and we choose the particular using price or our convenience. So let's go to the website. Uh, let's go to the presentation. So here make my trip, we request the service from the make my trip to book my air ticket, and we access the data from the different server. So here make my trip generate the web service or use the web service to access the data from Indigo, Airjet, Air India and Kingfisher, and put it on client's web pages. So user can select a particular flight as per their convenience. So here it's a role of web services. Next example, travel agency. Suppose that I want to book some destination for my holiday. I request to the travel services, and travel services generate a web service to get the information from the airline service, hotel service, and credit card service. All the data, put it on my web pages. So I can choose my air flight, I can book my hotel, and I can pay the option using a credit card, debit card. All the payment facilities are available here. So here travel service use the web service to communicate with these different options. So this is nothing but the web service. How to communicate, or we can see working of web services. Here we are, that is the client, and we request some service and server response. For this communication, we need some medium, and that medium is nothing but the HTTP and some format we require. So for web services, the supportive format is XML or JSON. So let's see the simple example of phone. If I want to communicate with my friend, then I use the phone. So phone is the medium, and we speak in Marathi language. So our format is Marathi. So this is the working of web services. We will send the request and response comes if we are using web service. If the server use the web services, then its format is in XML format or JSON format. So next point is types of web services. There are two types of web services. First one is the simple web service and second one is the complex web service. In simple web service, the client send request to the server, then server use the web services and send response to the client. It is known as simple web services, generally the SOAP protocol used for the communication. Next one is the complex web services. In complex web services, this is the second type where the service provider get the request from the client. It uses the web services and do some coordination in its request and then response. So it gets the request from the different port, it coordinate that and then send the response to the client. So it saves our time. Next point is web service architecture. In web service architecture, there is a service provider who provide the service using web services, service requester, request for the service, and service registry is nothing but known as the broker where all the web services are the register. So first one is the provider. The provider creates the web services and makes it available to client application who want to use that. So it create the web services. A requester is nothing but the client application that needs and that client want the web services. So it requests for the web service. The client application can be so it can be used in a different language. For example, server application client application is in .NET and server application is Java. Then also they can communicate with each other. Next one is the broker. The broker is nothing but the application which provide access to the UDDI. That means the broker is nothing but the registry where all the web services are registered. Next one is the publish. Publish, a provider informs the broker about the existence of the web services by using the brokers to find out to find the service from the registry, find operation perform, and to bind. So with the information it gained from the broker about the web services, the requester is able to bind or invoke the web services. So so here service requester are bind with the service provider. So they can ask for the web service and service provider can provide the web service. Next point is web service characteristics. First one is XML base. In web service, there is a heavily use of XML. It's a loosely coupled. That means the client and the web service are not bound to each other. which means that even if the web services changes over the time, it should not change the way the client calls the web services. So as the time goes, there is change in the web services, but client call, there is no change in calling the web services. So the method is the same to call the web services. It never gets changed. Next one is the synchronous or asynchronous functionality. In synchronous, it accept the service and process it and then accept the new services. In asynchronous operation, allow the client to invoke the service and then execute other the function in parallel. That means in synchronous, it first accept one service only, process it, and then response, and then accept the new service. And in asynchronous, it accept the uh, request and parallelly process on each request. So it saves some times in asynchronous operation because it perform at a time. Next one, ability to support remote procedure call. As the server is at different location and client is at different location, to call it, it use the remote procedure call. Next one is support document exchange. So last one, as we are using XML, and XML is generally used to store the data and send the data. So it supports the document exchange also. So next one is advantages of web services. So these are some advantages. First one is exposing business, as we have seen the example of Book My Trip. Here it can communicate with the Air India, then Kingfisher. That means the lot of services they can be accessed. So it's are they are not bind with only Air India or Airspace or Indigo. So it expose their business. Use standard protocol for communication. It uses standard protocol. Next one is reduce the cost in communication, as at a time they can communicate with number of clients or a number of service provider. It reduces the cost of communication. Next point is overview of XML. So generally we mostly use XML in web services. We must know about it. So XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. It used to store and transport the data. So generally in our mobile, all the contacts are stored in a XML format because its file size is very small in KB only, and it is easy to transport from one mobile to another mobile. For that we use XML for it. Next one is it's a self-descriptive language. Why it is self-descriptive language? Because it uses uh, user-defined tag in it. As HTML is a uses predefined tag, each have some special meaning. For example, B for bold, I for italic, then U for underline, H1 for heading, A for anchor tag. So in XML we use user defined tag. For example, if I want to store the information regarding book, I use book tag. Next one is the XML declaration. To declare XML, we use XML version is equal to 1.0. It's a version, and encoding, that is the format, UTF-8. Encoding, character encoding used in document, that is the format. Next one, it's a case sensitive. So if you are using the particular tag, book tag, in that we use B capital. Then to close it, we use B in a capital letter. So here we use the tags and how to define that tag. So these are the elements that we use, and here we close the element. So for nested, we can create like this. So this is the first element tag. This is the second element, first element tag, and this is the second element enclosed in first element. So let's see simple example here. XML version is equal to 1.0 info. Here I want to save some information. For that I use info tag. In that I want to save name, phone number, email, and address. So I use name tag, phone tag. These are the user defined tag. Whatever I want, I can keep its name. So name, phone, email, address, and here we close. We store the information ABC23456 in this email ID and its address, and here we close it. So this is an example of XML. We can use the attribute for XML. So here we can specify the attribute. Attributes are nothing but the properties of element. Here is the exam, and that is enclosed in a single or double quote. For example, I create here element person, and this is the nothing but the attribute gender is equal to male. So I want to store the information of the person whose gender is male. So person gender is equal to male. We can specify in a single quote also. Let's see live example for it. So this is the example. Here we start the XML with its version 1.0 encoding UTF-8. This is the common format. It shows that your XML programming starts from here. Here you want to store book information. So here I created book tag. Then in that book tag, this is the nested tag. So name, author, language, price are enclosed in a book tag under or in book tag or under book tag. So name, web service, author, ABC. So each tag has a closing tag. Language, English, and price 100. To execute it, we simple run this program in our web page or in a browser. So just wait for a minute. So here is an output XML version 1.0. Here is the book and all this information stored on a web pages using XML format. So you can plus it, minus it. If you want to hide this data, you can just simply click on it. If you want to show this data, so this is an example of XML. So today we are covered introduction of web services, its type, and overview of XML. So here we close our session. Thank you very much.